The red, white, blue, flying way up high, and we stand and salute to the ones that fight.
Hi, Chief.
Hello.
Welcome to the sunny side of freedom, my friend. How we doing today?
Thank Doing well. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good.
Beautiful day.
Well, thank you so much for saying you'd come on the sunny side of freedom. I'm excited to have you on the podcast. I know you and I have shared many hours on the sunny side of freedom over on TikTok, and that's where we all got to know each other. And that's been fantastic. And carrying that over into the podcast, I wanted to give viewers an opportunity to really get to know some of our veterans. And that's why we're here today. So, what can you tell me about 420 Chief?
So, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here. And like you said, um, you do your Sunny Side of Freedom TikTok and bring vets together. And I've had the pleasure of meeting some of them from the show and having some conversation, getting to know them and what they're all about. And that's kind of what 420 Chief is all about is Um, I'm somebody that, as a chief, is a deck plate leader that likes to be out there visible with people, spend time with people, listen to them, hear their story, and just try to demonstrate a good example for people as far as healthy alternatives to, working out, diet, exercise, and even medications. So try to
Yeah.
motivate people, get them out and about, and try to join me in doing the things I like to do, which are basically be out in nature, hiking, kayaking, etc.
Yeah. Well, you've really taken off on TikTok already. You've inspired so many people. Just watching you on a daily, the consistency that you demonstrate and what that looks like. Get out there, take action, lead the way. You're out there making your videos every day. I've seen it firsthand because I've duetted you myself. And, one of the very first things that I noticed with you was like, oh my God, he's matching my energy. And we immediately started hashtagging that. And now we have others hashtagging us as well. Some of our other friends who are also veterans and non veterans as well. So it's definitely contagious. It's catching on. And you're right. There is many ways that we can live our life, but they're choices, right? And one of those choices is being consistent in the life that we choose to live. I often refer to it as the sunny side of life, right? Bringing some positivity. So,
Absolutely, and consistency is one of the hardest things to be.
hmm
It's one thing to go work out one time and get sore. It's another thing to go work out every single day and stay sore, you know? But the benefits of
absolutely.
doing that every day are visible, not only for yourself, but others. And I believe that in more than just the physical aspect, I believe that in the mental and then just the decision making ways as well.
Yeah. So you keep doing what you're doing because it's definitely working. Your following is growing, and it takes a little time on TikTok. TikTok is finicky. And anytime we're sharing too much positivity on TikTok, they kind of shadow ban it a little bit. But keep at it because the following is growing and they're catching on real quick. Um, Now, recently, I've started to see some of your videos. You've been overlanding, is that what you call it?
Yes. Yeah. Camping out of my vehicle, living in the Sea Wagon part time.
That sounds exciting. So I've been following those videos as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, what that means to you?
Sure. I like to live a simple life. Years ago I was going through a divorce and I bought some land and ended up putting a camper on it. But I didn't have electricity, I didn't have water, I didn't have sewage, so I had to make my own. And what that meant for me was, if it was raining, I had to get the tarps out, I had to get the hoses out, I had to get my jugs out.
Hmm.
And it didn't matter if that was at 2 a.m. or if that was at noon. I many occasions I woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning, put my slippers on, and was setting up jugs. And it taught me not to take things like water and hot showers and long showers for granted. And the same thing with electricity. I had a gas generator and the price of gas went up so high I couldn't even afford to live with that in a camper. So I had to find alternative ways, solar power, lots of fires. Just really spent time inside to sleep, and it taught me that you don't need a lot of things to live or even to be happy, and don't take things for granted. You know. So the overlanding
Absolutely.
kind of reminds me of that. It's a simple way of life. Everything I need, everything I want, I've got with me in the Sea Wagon, my dog, some clothes. We eat well. Most of the time, we sleep well unless it's really cold. Um, but that's always fun, just fighting to stay warm.
Yeah,
But it forces me um, to make healthier and better decisions. So it's a way of
yeah,
life that I've kind of embraced and showing others that you don't have to be glamorous to live a happy life.
absolutely. And there's really no price tag even on the scenery that you're sharing with us in your videos. You're always selecting new places. So you're kind of taking us along, which is kind of cool. I'm definitely a fan. I think you know this now. You've already, so many are providing positive feedback. Like they love where you're at, they love the scenery, you're capturing sunsets and sunrises, all that good stuff. And there really is no price tag on that. It's the simplicity of it all, the beauty in nature.
And it's so difficult because the photos and videos don't even do it justice. There's times that I'll be on a cliff at a sunset, and if a photo doesn't tell you exactly how high up that is and how beautiful and big that sunset is, and
Hmm.
there's times that it's very hypnotizing, and I wish that photos could do that so people could feel
Hmm.
what you feel in that moment at that place. It's like the universe or God painted that just for you in that moment, and there's really nothing like that. Not even a hundred followers or 1,000 likes can compete with something like that.
I completely understand. I too am a fan of nature and I love the ocean. So even myself, when I've taken really amazing pictures, it just doesn't do it justice. It's impossible for a picture to capture all of that. But the hope is that if you're sharing it out there, it'll inspire somebody also to go out there, which is what I see you doing. You're inspiring others to get on a trail, or you've done a lot actually in a very short amount of time on TikTok. Whether it's inspiring them to start working out, pushing with you, or planking, which, by the way, thank you because you always support me when I'm doing my plank. So I appreciate your duets there. But it's that other message, which is the choice in which we live our lives, the simplicity of it all, taking care of our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health. It all works together. You can go to the gym every single day, but if you're not taking care of the other pieces, which is what you're demonstrating, even when you're out there in nature, because that in itself is therapy.
It really is. It really is. And you don't have to do things to the extreme in which I tend to. I've
Hmm.
always been extra. Um, so it's just I feel like it's a guidance. You're not, don't be like me. I'm not a good role model, but I will demonstrate characteristics, consistency, right
Hmm.
decisions the best that I can. And I really like to communicate and meet with people and help people out, and just listen to
Yeah.
them. Everybody's got such a great story, it could really be anybody if they feel that you'll listen and hear them, they'll tell you. And there's always something to learn from that.
Which is awesome. And I'm excited to continue following on your journey, to see what it is you're going to be sharing with us and those you're going to be sharing with us. So keep doing what you're doing because it's pretty awesome. One of the things that initially inspired me to come to TikTok and then join the podcast was my own vision and mission, which is to bring people together. So I have to say our missions more or less are aligning here. You are a veteran, and I, as a civilian, was trying to bring in the veterans. And initially, it's been almost a year now. Initially, it was difficult, but I've kept at it, consistency, right? And what we have now is the Sunnyside family, as we call us, right? The Sunnyside fam, matching energy, sharing that positivity with one another. And we're also seeing that on a weekly basis. We're seeing new faces. more and more joining us, and it's a really great feeling. Um, but I also wanted to ask you when you initially started joining the Sunnyside fam, which is our Veterans Night Live, I wanted to kind of get your perspective on that. What has it meant to you? Have you made relationships on the Sunnyside um, fam Veterans Night Live, for instance?
Absolutely. Yeah, initially I sat in on some lives because a friend of mine who I had mobilized with in 2010, Scooter, had recommended it, and I had actually had seen you in a couple of um, Max lives, the Big Old Cup of
Hmm.
Joe, and so I was
Yeah.
curious, what it was all about, and because Mac was talking about some of the same topics that you had covered apparently in your lives, so I went in and I checked it out, and I quickly realized what it was. It's a forum, like kind of a safe space for veterans to talk really about anything,
Right.
what's bothering them or issues they have, whether that's medical or whether that's just in the civilian world or relationships even. And then, but it's also a place of understanding where other vets can sympathize or empathize and tell that story in a place where even civilians could come in and listen and just kind of hear the some of the struggles and the stories that some of these folks have been through. And even more than that, there's fun to be had in there. No matter what the topic is, it gets, people talk, people sympathize and empathize, and then it gets redirected into a positive way, a lessons learned, an opportunity, so that people aren't really stuck on that. And
Hmm.
it really brings people together. It really is kind of a bridge for civilians and military alike. Um, and as far as relationships, I've met up with several folks from the sunny side of freedom, the Friday night Veterans Night live, and I've actually camped out at one of their houses, and it's been really really an amazing forum, for networking for real in real life. This isn't just TikTok; these are real people with real stories, um, that really care and really really want to make a change and help each other.
Yeah. Absolutely, and you're right. That is where we first met initially, and as time went on, we got to know each other a little bit more as you started joining the Sunnyside fam. But we did meet on Max Live and the Big Old Cup of Joe with Scooter and Mac, and fantastic, I'll tell you. TikTok has been an interesting platform to work with, but it's definitely brought people together, and it's really a choice on how we use it. I knew myself that if I was going to use TikTok, it was definitely going to be meaningful. Um, and I have seen how it's been used in that way for relationship building, offering so many that safe space that you refer to be heard. Because you're right, we all have a story. This isn't just an application. Any application that we use, there are real people behind these screens, and it's fascinating to see what you just shared that you're actually making these connections and then meeting in real life, which is also one of my goals, as you know, to be able to do just that. And soon enough, I will be doing that, as I will be traveling to join All American Heroes. And I'm really super excited about that. So I'll meet a few of you on that trip, and there'll be more to come as as things unfold. But um, you know, the relationships that are being made on any application for that matter has offered so many, not just a safe space, but friendships, especially coming out of, our 2020, 2021, and everything that's going on in the country. So many found themselves in a state of isolation, and that was really affecting their mental health, and they just felt very alone in the trying to navigate what's going on in the world. And conversations, as you know, haven't always been pleasant in the last 4 years, whether it's politics, which we don't like to discuss on my live, on Veterans Night specifically. We really stick to the fun stories, getting to know our veterans, which you've shared. I think last night's live was a lot of fun. We talked about some of the interesting foods you all ate when you were overseas in other countries, which
Uniform
brings me to ask.
malfunction.
And uniform malfunctions, 13 buttons for the Navy. Well, we all, and then that's what it's about. It's about bridging that gap. It's allowing the civilians on Friday night to join us and ask questions, be a part of it, engage our veterans. And as a result, everybody's just fitting in perfectly. And it really is a beautiful thing. Um, but we also bring in military families because they too should have an opportunity to come in and say, you know what, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and so on and so forth. They don't come in as often, but they do come in, and they too have really important stories to share with all of us. So it does put things into perspective. I know when I first started, granted, working in the field and having come across the veteran community, it was very different. This is very personal on the sunny side of freedom. It's so much more personal. There's friendships here and real people, and we're hearing these stories. And week after week, we're learning more and more about you guys. So, 420 Chief. What does 420 Chief mean?
So I'll break it down like this. The chief is because I'm a retired Navy chief, and it's something that I take a lot of pride in. I did 20 years in the Navy, split active and reserve time, but I made chief 2011. And a chief is a deck plate leader, like I had alluded to earlier, somebody that is setting the example, that's doing the work, that's side by side, somebody that may not necessarily always have the answer, but he knows someone who does. So
Mhm.
it's a chief's mess is a fraternity, like the world's largest fraternity of brothers and sisters that have shared experiences and specialties and skills. And I learned a lot from my brothers and sisters there, and I'd like to bring that to the rest of the world. We all are a network. We all have people, and we all know somebody who can help us out with whatever we need. So that's the chief side. The 420 side is a little more personal. 420 is a reference to cannabis. It's a time of day some students at a school would meet up to smoke some weed, and so that term has kind of been coined since then. Just 420 referring to cannabis. But for me personally, it's something that I've used as medicinally. When I got out of off of or when I retired out of the service, I started to experiment with cannabis, and at the time, I um, was a pretty bad alcoholic, and I had a lot of problems mentally, anxiety, depression, anger, even at times. And a lot of that was to do with the alcohol and just poor life choices because of it. And so after I started to smoke cannabis, I'm kind of an engineer by trade. So I started to research it and found that there's different strains of cannabis, multiple strains, thousands actually, that are medically studied to treat different pains, such as fibromyalgia or lupus, depression, PTSD, anxiety,
Mhm.
swelling, inflammation, you name it. There's a strain for just about everything. And so I started experimenting myself. I would go to the dispensary and I would try these specific strains that had been tested for these things and see if they worked for me. And it got out of control because there's so many of them. So I actually ended up just creating a book called Strains for Pains to help keep track of it and document it. And it's also a fun book to kind of doodle in and put stickers or whatever. But the 420 for me, it was something that helped me get away from alcohol. It was something that helped me get off of pills, unnecessary, just prescription medicine.
Yeah.
And I mean, cannabis alone didn't do it. I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit it. But it did help me change the way that I was thinking, which helped me change my life. So I'd like to, it's not for everybody, but it certainly is a healthier alternative than some of the other
Mhm.
things that some of my brothers and sisters are being prescribed.
I agree with you there. In our country, we push pharma for everything. It is just pharmaceutically driven. And there are so many side effects that come with prescription drugs, as we know, and I've always looked for a homeopathic path in anything that I do, but it's very difficult because you're asking doctors, and of course, they're always going to be leaning that way. So the alternatives are harder for us because we need a resource. We need someone to go to and to get that information from. It's interesting that we're talking about this right now. So I was at dinner last night with a friend of mine, and her husband's a veteran, and we were actually talking about cannabis. And she said, "Well, he did try it, but he seemed to have these kinds of reactions, whether it was the anger." I said, "Well, right away, I thought of your book, Strains for Pains." So I found myself in a different place having this kind of conversation. And I said, "Well, there are different strains for pains, and perhaps he's just smoking anything, not even realizing that's really not for him." So that was an interesting conversation. You've really opened up my mind to having those kinds of conversations. I've never really engaged in the smoking, to be quite honest with you. But you opened up my mind because I've always had a very homeopathic um, way of thinking, like, make this tea or use this specific plant for things. So, I look at it, I'm like, well, you know, if God put it on this earth, you know what I mean? It's meant to be used. You just have to use it the right way. So it's definitely given me a different outlook. And I know that's something you're also trying to do, which is break the stigmas, right?
Sure. I mean,
Associated.
even over the course of my life, my thoughts on cannabis have changed. I mean, my father was a hippie and a daily smoker my entire life, even before it was legal.
Yeah.
He didn't sell it, but he would consume it quite a bit. And
Hmm.
I was in the military, so it wasn't allowed, and I was kind of a hater of it. And I kind of myself,
Yeah.
um, made my own thoughts about it. And I certainly, after trying it for myself, it really changed my mind. And I too have talked to a lot of doctors about this. Some are pro, some are against it, but at the end of the day, they all agree that you know your body better than they do. And if you
Right.
can tell there's a difference before and after, then it's a pretty good, it's a pretty good indicator that it's working
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Well, it's been great for me to get to know you and get to know what it is that you're doing because, like you said, there are alternatives. It is harder in society, but I do see a shift, which is good. We see a shift, it's happening. More and more people are using it for that specific reason, whether it's pain management, whether it's for stress, anxiety, depression, just like you mentioned. And that's important. And I think what we face in society, like you said, you have this way of thinking, well, cannabis is bad, weed is bad, potheads, we just had all of the, at least I can speak for myself, I was taught it's bad. So if you did it, it was bad. Never really
Right. This is your
looking at
brain on drugs.
what's that? Yeah,
This is your brain on drugs, the commercials and
exactly.
everything, the campaigns against it, right?
Absolutely. But I can tell you a personal story. So my son, my almost 20-year-old, he was struggling with sleeping and I'm not really sure why. He just struggled and he was on taking melatonin. I could see that he was getting really frustrated. And here in our state, he actually went and purchased these gummies that are actually supposed to help him with his sleep. And that was like my first time where I was like, I'm okay with it. And I myself then also started incorporating, like I go for massages and asking for specific oil. Hey, can you use that oil instead? Because I do have fibromyalgia, or at least I've been diagnosed with it. So get a lot of muscle spasms. So I make sure that when it's deep tissue, I'm like, can we use that oil instead, please? And she does. So it really, if you open your mind to the possibilities and just ask questions, I think if anyone's watching this today, that's really what I want from them. If you don't know, you can ask questions. There's never any wrong answer. Knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we can share with others.
Absolutely. And like I said, not everybody needs some medicine. There's certainly reasons to do it, just for fun. And there's certainly times and places to do that. But it's definitely something. If you're interested,
Hmm.
test it out, try it the right way. Um,
Right.
don't overdo it because that can have adverse effects. But
Right.
yeah,
Well, like anything else, right? Too much of one thing is never good.
certainly.
um, Even too many push-ups, you're gonna be sore, right? There's always a feeling afterwards. But like you said, that's not the only solution. There are other things that we can be doing. Some people pray. I see that you meditate. Sometimes I see your videos. You want to talk a little bit about that, your meditation?
Certainly, yeah. Meditation for me, I think, is a little different. I listened to tons of self-help books and watched all the gurus, and I actually have not gone even into a yoga class. I've just done like YouTube type yoga stuff,
Hmm.
but it's been something I've been practicing for years. Initially, my goal was just to kind of silence the thoughts, just stop it, you know,
Yeah.
and somewhere along the way, I just started to enjoy it. And now I realize that just because I've been consistent in that practice alone,
Yeah.
when I sit with someone and I'm having a conversation with them, I can focus a little bit better. I can even sometimes control the way I look. Like I'll realize, oh, I'm making a mean face. I should smile when I should smile just because of meditation. Just that practice alone of just sitting there quiet and still has helped me focus and be more present with my kids,
Mhm.
with employees, with friends, family, even my dog. It
Yeah.
really does help. And I think that the more focused and present you are with people, I think the more improved your conversations and the outcomes of those conversations are, which equals an improved quality of life. So for me, even if you're not blasting off into the cosmos for meditation, certainly worth it from a quality of life and physical aspect.
And that's really what it's about. So I don't meditate, right? It's something that I have to really work at now. I think I'm going to start trying this to calm and quiet the mind, of course, because we live in a chaotic world. I mean, it's just the reality on an everyday basis. It's go, 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 nonstop. We never really give our brains an opportunity to just not shut down, but shut down, like silence the noise,
Right.
and really focus on yourself, which is another message that you'll see in my videos and you too, get out there, which is take care of you. Our quality of life, we really do hold the key. We got to get at the core of our truth. What is it that we want out of life and really focus on that? It requires work. Just like you said, meditation didn't come overnight. You have to practice it. Um, but even when I'm planking, granted, these are videos on TikTok, but the message behind it is take that minute. Take 2 minutes, take 3 minutes, because when you're planking, you're not moving, you know? It's an
Yep.
opportunity to just sit still with yourself. And that's why I started my planking videos, was to really try to tell people, stop moving. Take the minute, take the 30 seconds, whatever it is that you can do until you get to the desired amount of time where you're like, no, I need 15 minutes to actually sit still and take a breath. Breathing is another piece to so much of what we do on a day to day. Because you're right, we really have to find ways to achieve that quality of life that we're looking for, or we're all going to walk around like stress heads.
Right.
Because society would love nothing more than see us all just like, I got anxiety, I have depression, medicate me, please. You know,
Yeah.
um,
But
so
you're
I
right.
do
You
love.
said I think your videos, my videos, I think we both say the same thing every day, breathe, relax, smile,
Yeah,
even doing your planks, that can be meditation. You take that 1 minute. It doesn't have to be an hour, it doesn't have to be 10 minutes even. It can be just a mindful breath, but give yourself that time. I mean, we can do that at a red light most of the time. We can always
yeah,
find time to do that. But if you make a practice of doing that and then doing it more often, then
yeah,
you really do change your mind and your life.
yeah. You guys have seen me put out some videos too. Sometimes I'll do my planks and it's like 22 degrees outside. I don't even put on a coat. I've done the coat and sometimes I don't even put on the coat because I really need to have like a kick-ass day. So I really want to wake up. It's like waking up my senses and forgetting that I'm cold. And that's
You
what I try to do.
and there's something to that. If you can go outside when you don't want to, and your body certainly doesn't want to, and
Mhm.
say, "Fuck you, I'm doing this anyways," it
Right.
makes other decisions easier. I
Mhm.
mean, I have days where when I would take a cold shower, or
Mhm.
even when I'm going out and I'm doing the planks and push-ups on the ice and my hands are cold, I'm like, "I would rather be mopping the kitchen right now." It makes those other decisions a little bit easier.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Consistency sucks sometimes, but it's good for you.
Yeah. It's good for you. I've actually brought out my mat, put it right on the snow. Trust me, I come in, I can't finger I like my fingertips, I can't feel them. I'm like, "What was I thinking?" I have a perfectly warm house, but we also talk about stepping outside of our comfort zone, right? How do we grow, right? You have to keep watering the plant. Well, you're the same. You have to keep watering that plant. If you keep I don't know. I personally think that I have to challenge myself on a personal level, challenge myself to do those things, to get better, do better on a daily. Every day is an opportunity.
Absolutely, and I always say, if you do the same things every day, you can expect the same results the next day. If you
Yeah.
want things to change, you have to make a change. It's that simple. Nobody's going to come along and make it for you. If they do, it's gonna be temporary or horrible. So, it it really does start with the little things. You can take a
Right.
minute to take a breath, maybe that's what it looks like, and then you can do something bigger,
Yeah.
you know? You don't have to do it all at
And,
once, but you gotta start
right.
somewhere.
It's a little bit each day. It's a little bit each day. When I first started planking, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can make 30 seconds, you know? Or the push ups. I was like down two knees. I was trying to duet you. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Two knees down. And I got squeezed out four. I was like, this is pathetic. And but then before you know it, like this is what I tell people. I'm like, just do a little bit each day. Before you know it, you're going to get to 1 minute and then 2 minutes. And I really do use that mindful time to think about what am I doing today. But when I think of that, I'm not just thinking about what I have to do for work. Thinking about what am I doing for myself, which is often you hear me say, filling your cup. Have you filled your cup today? So I try to end my day by saying just that. Did I fill my cup today? Did I do something for me? Too often we find ourselves, like you said, you're taking care of whether it's your job, your kids, the dogs, whatever. The day will escape you. And even last night, I said to my friend, I said, you need to start making time for yourself. I don't have any time. I said, you need to make time. You just need to
Yeah.
make time. It's imperative that you do because then anxiety sets in and you start to feel like the quality of your life is just running. And being a giver is an amazing thing, but you can get caught up in constantly giving of yourself, which is emptying your cup and you're
Yeah, you've
never
gotta find that
replenishing.
balance. You really gotta find that balance.
Yeah. Well, listen, my friend, it's been wonderful to have you on here. I hope I get to have you back on here again so we can talk about other topics as well. But as we conclude, is there anything that you'd like to add before we say goodbye for today?
I'd like to thank you for having me on. We're both on the Paladin Roundtable Network. I'm very
Yeah.
excited. I'll have you on the show. I'm sure we'll see each other, and we've got a lot of events, and we've got a lot of people that um, we're working with together. So I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll have more opportunities. But again, thank you very much for everything and what you do on the sunny side of freedom. It's really a beautiful thing. I feel it. The people that I've met with feel it, and there's a whole lot more to come. And it, like you said earlier, we're trying to help people, but this is real life. This isn't
Yeah.
just a shotgun blast from TikTok. This is one person at a time, and I think that's very valuable.
Absolutely. Like we always say, we're better together and we're stronger together. And that's really what it's about. As we do, go ahead, put up your heart hands because I can't do it. But as we do, this is actually spreading through TikTok videos now. And I think one of my many happy moments when there's so many, but I love when everybody's in their boxes and they're like this. I'm like, they get it. Self love. This means self love and love on others as well, right?
But
It's
I think
sharing that love.
absolutely. And one of the biggest things that, just for the military folks, myself included, when we get in those boxes and we're sharing these stories, it brings back that feeling of camaraderie. And for us veterans, that's something that so many of us miss because
Mhm.
that feeling that we had um, with each other is sometimes more than that connection we have with a family member, just because of the
Yeah.
circumstances and or the shit that we went through together. And so to have that feeling with, with others, it's not like a group of strangers. It's like walking into a room full of friends and
Yeah.
just being able to share that together. And that's really something that I hope that we can really help bridge veteran and civilian alike and people, just bring people together and have that feeling of camaraderie. Because if we all have that together, then we're all helping each other and we're all really caring about each other. And then all the other bullshit just kind of stops.
Yeah.
So love
And
what you're
and
doing.
I
Love what you're
thank
creating.
you. I've definitely seen it, and I understand what you're saying because when I see you all in the boxes, I see the love. It's just there. And sometimes I sit back, sometimes I'm engaging, whether it's a topic centered or not, but I laugh with you guys and I love that. I think the happiest moment for me is when I see you all smiling, you guys are laughing, you're sharing stories. And that's what I mean by like creating that space. And that's really what it's for. And but our civilians are in the comments, but they're also seeing this and they're becoming they're not just there viewing, they're interacting, they're engaging, they're also relationship building because we need each other. At the end of the day, we all need each other, right? And it's as you say, iron sharpens iron, people need people and we need to lead the way in love. And it's complicated and we understand that, I'm not a veteran, I'm a civilian. And the reasons I do what I do because that's my way of serving. That's my way of giving back. That's the least I can do. And that's a big message for me when I've been asked, why do you do this? You're not a veteran. Because that's something that it's my passion. It's just something I've since day one. I just wanted to see it happen. And I'm seeing it happen firsthand. And it's a great feeling. It really is. And I love how we're just keep bringing more and more people in. So, we're going to keep growing. We're going to keep smiling. We're going to keep breathing. We're going to keep improving our quality of life and filling that cup. And we're always going to be stronger together, most definitely. And I look forward, like I said, to having you back because I definitely want to follow what it is that you're doing. I'm very super excited for you. I think it's awesome when we step outside of our comfort zone and take a leap of faith to really fill our cup and what that looks like. And it's different for everyone. So I'm excited to see that happen. I am definitely a fan. And I thank you once again for being here. And I will see you again on Veterans Night. And you keep smiling and sharing those smiles. All right, my friend. Thank you very much. All right. I'll see you again. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
If I turn this thing off.